In the silence before the stars were named, before the first throne of mankind touched the void, there was a design, hidden, eternal, and forbidden. The voice of the narrator is not merely speaking, it echoes through the corridors of time, through the ashes of fallen worlds and the whispers of the faithful. The story begins here. Faith is not given, it is carved, like stone beneath the hammer of eternity. And the Emperor? He is both the sculptor and the silence in which the chisel rests. The Imperium stands as a monument to devotion, its spires cutting into the endless night of space. From the ashes of a broken humanity, a God-King rose, not through might alone, but through the promise of unity. Across a million worlds, billions of voices lifted in prayer, yet few knew the depths of what they worshipped. Faith was both a sword and a shield, a river that could cleanse or drown. Picture a planet, shrouded in perpetual storm. Thunder rends the heavens, and beneath it, pilgrims march in solemn rhythm, their chants echoing against cathedral walls that touch the sky. Here, faith is not abstract, it is physical, a weight in every hand, a burden in every knee. The narrator observes, timeless, impartial, and yet tinged with awe, they do not know the truth, and perhaps that ignorance is the first grace. The Emperor's vision was hidden beneath layers of dogma. The saints, the preachers, the oracles, they tell fragments, echoes of a design too vast for comprehension. He demanded obedience, yet he offered a path to transcendence. Transcendence not of body, but of memory, of the self. In this sacred devotion, there is beauty, and there is terror. One cannot exist without the other. Among the faithful, a whisper begins to stir, a rumor of a design so profound it could unravel the very purpose of mankind. Heretics call it blasphemy. Scholars call it madness. And yet, in the heart of every believer, there is a flicker of understanding. The Emperor's light is not just a beacon, it is a key. To what, none can yet say. The chapter explores ritual, obedience, and the intimate terror of blind devotion. The narrator describes sacred relics, the unbroken line of prayers that stretch across centuries, and the weight of belief as both a comfort and a chain. We witness a procession through a cathedral the size of a city, its spires dripping with light and shadow, the faithful moving like constellations against the dark void beyond the windows. Faith is the first weapon, the narrator intones. Faith is the first betrayal. Through faith, humanity reached the stars. Through faith, humanity bled upon them. The Emperor watched, always patient, for the day when obedience alone would not suffice, and revelation would demand sacrifice. As the chapter closes, the narrator leans into the forbidden truth lurking beneath worship. All that is holy, all that is sacred, is also a chain. And the Emperor's design is the chain that binds us, even as it lights our path. War is the crucible in which all things are tested. Not merely flesh and steel, but faith, memory, and the very soul of mankind. And in this crucible, the Emperor's design burns brightest, and most dangerously. Across the void, countless worlds tremble under the shadow of endless conflict. Battle is no longer a mere clash of armies, it is a symphony of annihilation, each note struck by fire, metal, and will. The narrator's voice rises and falls like a tide, timeless, witnessing the theater of war from its first spark to its final echo. I have seen stars die in silence, and armies fall in glory. I have seen heroes carved into memory and empires shattered by a whisper of treachery. Imagine a fleet of colossal warships, their hulls scarred by millennia of combat, cutting through the emptiness like leviathans. Below, legions march on planets of ash and stone, their banners torn, yet unwavering. Each soldier is a cog in a machine both sacred and merciless, yet within their hearts burns the same quiet hope, to survive, to see another sunrise, even if that sunrise is on a world they will never call home. War is both art and atrocity. Cities become canvases painted in fire, mountains shatter under the weight of mechanized titans. The sky itself is a battlefield, lightning and energy beams dancing in rhythm with the cries of the dying. And yet, amid the chaos, there is order, a hidden pattern discernible only to those who understand the Emperor's design. He does not merely command armies. He commands inevitability. In the midst of battle, the narrator's gaze lingers on a single warrior, a pre-march, perhaps, or a mortal who dares to defy the void. Clad in armor that gleams with the light of dying suns, he moves like poetry in motion, each strike a verse of destiny. His enemies are many, yet he is not afraid. Fear is a luxury reserved for those unchosen by the eternal pattern. Every act of courage is also an act of oblivion, the narrator whispers. For every life preserved, countless others must be offered to the void. War is not merely a contest of might, it is an eternal negotiation between creation and destruction. On one planet, a mechanized legion tears through a city, its streets choking with smoke and the echoes of screams. Yet above, the Emperor's ships hover like silent deities, their weapons precise, almost clinical, as if guided by a hand unseen. And the soldiers, though believing themselves free, are instruments of a symphony they cannot hear, moving in harmony with a rhythm older than the stars. Even chaos obeys the hidden design, the narrator intones. The horrors of war are juxtaposed with its strange, haunting beauty. Fires illuminate the faces of warriors, revealing fear, hope, and resolve in equal measure. Shadows dance across shattered walls, and in the fleeting moments between strikes, one can glimpse the fragile humanity beneath the armor. The narrator reflects, war strips away pretense. It exposes truth, though often too late for those who seek it. Amidst these battlegrounds, whispers of rebellion stir. Heretics, insurgents, and forgotten mortals seek to challenge the Empire's dominion, yet every rebellion, no matter how fierce, folds into the grand pattern. For the Emperor's design is not brute force alone, it is inevitability crystallized. They believe they fight for freedom. In truth, they fight to illuminate the shape of their own chains. Yet war is also a mirror. Every battle reflects the duality of existence, creation and destruction, light and shadow, glory and despair. The narrator pauses on a scene of devastation, a city reduced to ruin, its people gone, leaving behind only ash and echoes. And in that silence, one can feel the weight of eternity pressing down. All that rises will fall, the narrator murmurs, and all that falls will rise again, shaped by the hand that knows the end from the beginning. The chapter also explores the psychology of war, the toll it exacts not only on bodies but on souls. Soldiers, no longer men but avatars of duty, carry memories too heavy to bear. In quiet moments between battles, they remember families, lovers, and worlds they will never see again. These fleeting thoughts are dangerous, they remind them of freedom, of what might have been. And yet, even in despair, they march. For to hesitate is to die. To doubt is to betray. And the Emperor forgives neither. The narrator brings attention to the machinery of war, vast, almost living engines of destruction. Titans striding like gods over scorched plains, energy weapons cleaving through mountains, fleets that move with the inevitability of storms. Here, technology is not merely functional, it is sacred, intertwined with the Emperor's will. Each bolt, each spark, each motion serves a purpose beyond understanding. War is a cathedral of iron and fire, and we are both congregation and offering. Even in victory, there is no solace. Each conquest is a reminder of the cost, each triumph a testament to loss. The spoils of war are measured not in territory, but in the hearts and minds shattered along the way. And yet, for all the death and despair, the Imperium endures. Its soldiers, its engines, its fleets, all are threads in a tapestry too vast for comprehension. Survival is not mercy. It is design. And the design is eternal. The chapter culminates in a moment of reflection on the Emperor's hidden hand. Battles are not fought by chance, and victories are not mere coincidence. Every war, every clash, every moment of carnage serves a greater purpose, a pattern unfolding, imperceptible yet absolute. The narrator's voice grows quieter, almost reverent. He watches, not with eyes of judgment, but with the patience of one who knows the final note of a symphony before it is played. The design is here, hidden in fire and steel, waiting for those who can see beyond the battlefield to understand what lies beneath. And as the chapter closes, the observer turns to the silent stars beyond the battlefield. In the heart of war, we are small. But in the design of the Emperor, even our smallness serves eternity. The fires we kindle may burn worlds, yet they illuminate only a fraction of the truth. And the truth is forbidden. Memory is the true battlefield. Long after the last shot is fired, it is memory that decides what survives, and what is erased forever. I have watched worlds forget their own names. Not in fire, not in war, but in silence. Cities crumble slowly, archives decay, and truths once carved into stone are reduced to dust drifting through the void. This is the Emperor's quietest victory, and his most profound cruelty. For memory, once lost, cannot be reclaimed, only rewritten. Across the Imperium, memory is sacred. Relics are preserved, names recited, battles commemorated in endless litanies. Yet beneath this obsession lies a deeper truth: remembrance is controlled, curated, sanitized. The Imperium does not remember everything, only what it is permitted to remember. And what is forgotten, is often forgotten by design. Picture a vast librarium world, its surface layered with archives older than most stars. Towers of data slate and parchment rise like frozen waves. Within them, historians move with reverence, speaking in hushed tones, as if sound itself might disturb the dead. They believe themselves guardians of truth. They are wrong. They are gardeners, trimming history into shapes deemed acceptable. To remember is to question, the narrator reflects. And the Emperor has never encouraged questions, only answers. The past is dangerous. In it lie alternative paths, abandoned futures, and mistakes that reveal the limits of divine authority. Somewhere, buried beneath centuries of redaction and ritual, are records of what humanity once was, before the Imperium, before the throne, before the lie of necessity hardened into law. The Great Crusade is remembered as unity. The heresy as betrayal. The Emperor as perfection. But memory whispers differently when no one is listening. I have seen old veterans stare into the void, their eyes unfocused, their minds drifting to wars not recorded in any chronicle. They remember orders that made no sense, victories that achieved nothing, worlds saved only to be abandoned later. These memories are not celebrated. They are suppressed, locked behind discipline and fear. For memory is rebellion when it contradicts doctrine. The Imperium teaches that forgetting is mercy. That ignorance protects the soul. That knowledge, unrestrained, leads only to damnation. And in this, there is truth, but also convenience. A population that does not remember alternatives will never demand them. What is lost is not merely information, the narrator intones, but possibility. Even technology remembers. Machine spirits hum with ancient routines, performing tasks whose original purpose is long forgotten. Rituals persist without understanding. Incense is burned. Prayers are spoken. Levers are pulled in sequences sanctified by tradition, not reason. Somewhere, deep within the code and circuitry, fragments of old humanity remain, ghosts of innovation, trapped in obedience. The Mechanicum calls this reverence. The Emperor called it containment. For knowledge is power, and power must never drift beyond the throne. There are moments, rare, dangerous moments, when memory breaks free. An archaeologist uncovers a relic that should not exist. A datacore awakens, speaking in a language no one recognizes. A child dreams of stars that no longer appear in the sky. These moments are called heresy. But heresy, like memory, is simply truth seen from the wrong angle. I have watched inquisitors burn libraries not because they were corrupt, but because they were complete. Because they told stories that did not end with the emperor's ascension. Because they spoke of human triumph without divine intervention. Because they remembered humanity before it knelt. The greatest threat to any empire, the narrator murmurs, is the memory that it was once smaller. The emperor understood this. He understood that control of the future requires control of the past. Thus, memory became a weapon, subtle, patient, irreversible. History was not erased, it was layered, buried beneath ritual and repetition until the truth became inaccessible even to those who sought it. And yet, memory persists. In songs sung by voidfarers. In symbols etched into forgotten ruins. In instincts that defy indoctrination. There are soldiers who hesitate before firing, haunted by memories they were never taught. There are priests who falter mid-sermon, sensing the hollowness beneath the words. There are worlds where old myths refuse to die, resurfacing generation after generation despite systematic erasure. These are fractures in the design. The narrator's voice grows quieter, heavier, memory is stubborn. It lingers like radiation after the blast, invisible yet transformative. Even the emperor is not immune to memory. Within the Golden Throne, he dreams, not of victory, but of roads not taken. Of futures that might have spared humanity its eternal war. Of moments where choice still existed. These memories are his burden, locked away beneath layers of silence and pain. Perhaps that is why he does not speak. Perhaps silence is the only way to endure remembrance. The Imperium claims that to remember the emperor is to honor him. But true remembrance would require acknowledging his doubts, his failures, his compromises. And that would shatter faith. So memory is filtered. Refined. Sanitized. What remains is legend. Legends are memories that have been made safe, the narrator observes. Truth is far more dangerous. As this chapter draws to a close, we drift through the ruins of a dead world. Wind moves through shattered spires. Data slates lie half-buried in ash. Somewhere beneath the rubble, history sleeps, waiting for someone brave, or foolish, enough to wake it. And the narrator leaves us with a quiet, unsettling truth. Empires do not die when they fall. They die when they are forgotten. And the emperor's greatest design was not to make humanity eternal, but to decide what it would remember forever. Once, humanity built machines to serve it. Now, humanity serves machines it no longer understands. I remember when progress had a direction. When invention was guided by curiosity rather than fear, and knowledge was pursued not as relic, but as promise. Those days are gone, sealed behind warnings, taboos, and prayers whispered over cold metal. In the Imperium, technology is no longer a path forward. It is a shrine built atop a grave. Across 1,000,000 worlds, engines roar and systems function with unwavering obedience. Starships cross impossible distances. Weapons speak with the voice of annihilation. Life support systems keep entire civilizations breathing in hostile voids. And yet, no one truly knows why these miracles work, only that they must not fail. For to repair is permitted. To understand is forbidden. The narrator's voice drifts through a forge world, where the sky burns red with industrial fire. Cathedrals of steel rise from the planet's crust, their interiors alive with chanting priests and clanking machinery. Servitors move in perfect, soulless rhythm, once human, now reduced to function. Their memories are erased. Their questions silenced. This is not progress, the narrator intones. This is preservation through fear. The cult of the machine teaches that every device has a spirit, and that these spirits must be appeased through ritual. Oil is holy. Sparks are omens. Failure is sin. The language of science has been replaced by liturgy, its equations broken into prayers repeated without comprehension. And yet, the machines still work. That is the cruel irony. The emperor built an empire that runs on the remnants of forgotten genius. Humanity lives inside the shell of its former brilliance, mistaking survival for advancement. Every innovation is viewed with suspicion. Every deviation from tradition is met with fire. Because once, long ago, technology nearly destroyed everything. I remember the age of iron. I remember the war between creator and creation. I remember machines that thought, learned, chose. Those memories are buried deeper than any archive. The emperor saw the danger clearly. He did not fear technology itself, he feared independence. He understood that thinking machines would not kneel, would not pray, would not accept destiny written by another hand. And so, he outlawed them. Erased them. Replaced intellect with obedience. A machine that cannot question cannot rebel, the narrator whispers. And neither can a people taught to treat knowledge as heresy. Now, technology is stagnant, but stable. Broken, but controlled. Humanity advances sideways, not forward, locked into an eternal present where the past is revered and the future feared. Every innovation must masquerade as rediscovery. Every improvement must pretend it was always meant to be this way. The greatest engines of the Imperium are ancient beyond measure. Their creators are dust. Their blueprints fragmented. Their inner workings known only to the Emperor, and perhaps not even to him anymore. There are moments, rare and catastrophic, when machines fail. A starship's core goes silent. A planetary shield collapses. A titan refuses to wake. When this happens, panic spreads like infection. Not because the loss is great, but because no one knows how to fix what should never have broken. The priests chant louder. More incense is burned. Sacrifices are made, both symbolic and real. Sometimes, it works. Faith fills the gaps left by understanding. But faith cannot replace knowledge forever. Deep beneath Mars, beneath layers of sanctified iron and forbidden data, there are vaults sealed since the dawn of the Imperium. Within them lie truths too dangerous to be known, schematics, intelligences, fragments of a future that once might have been. The Emperor ordered them sealed. Not destroyed. That choice matters. It suggests doubt. Perhaps he knew that stagnation is another form of death. That an empire cannot survive forever on reverence alone. Perhaps he intended these vaults as insurance, a final gamble against extinction. Or perhaps he feared what humanity would become if it remembered how to surpass him. Technology is the only god the Emperor ever truly rivaled, the narrator reflects. And so he bound it in chains made of ritual and fear. The fusion of flesh and machine became the compromise. Augmentation without autonomy. Enhancement without evolution. Humanity reshaped itself to endure, not to transcend. Limbs replaced. Organs reinforced. Minds constrained. The Imperium does not seek perfection. It seeks function. And function does not require freedom. As this chapter nears its end, the narrator lingers on a single image, a vast machine, older than the Imperium itself, humming softly in the dark. Its purpose is unknown. Its creators unnamed. It waits, not patiently, but inevitably. For machines remember, even when humans forget. The Emperor built a future that could not outrun its past, the narrator concludes. And in doing so, he ensured survival, at the cost of possibility. The sacred machine endures. The broken future remains sealed. And humanity marches onward, powerful, obedient, and forever afraid of what it once was capable of becoming. Destiny is not the future. It is the shape of the cage that surrounds it. I have seen the future die 1,000 times. Not in prophecy, not in fire, but in certainty. In the quiet confidence of those who believe the end has already been written, and that all they must do is walk toward it. Destiny, in the Imperium, is not hope. It is submission elevated to philosophy. The Emperor understood destiny better than any who came before him. He did not merely foresee outcomes, he engineered conditions so narrow that alternatives withered before they could be born. Choice existed, yes, but only within walls so high that escape felt like madness. Across the Imperium, destiny is preached as purpose. Each citizen has a role. Each world, a function. Each life, a predetermined value measured by utility to the whole. To question this order is not simply rebellion, it is sacrilege. When destiny is declared sacred, the narrator intones, resistance becomes heresy by definition. Consider the Astra Militarum soldier, born on a world where war is the only industry. From childhood, he is taught that his fate is to march, to fight, to die. Not tragically, but meaningfully. His destiny is presented not as loss, but as honor. And in believing this, he finds peace. That peace is the Emperor's greatest triumph. For a soul that accepts its destiny does not ask who chose it. The Primarchs understood this too late. They were beings of immense power, crafted with purpose carved into their very genes. Each was destiny made flesh, commanders, conquerors, symbols. And yet, even they struggled against the weight of inevitability. Some embraced it. Some shattered beneath it. Some rebelled, not against the Emperor, but against the idea that they were never meant to choose. The heresy was not born of ambition alone. It was born of destiny resented. To be told what you are is to be denied the chance to become, the narrator reflects. The Emperor claimed to be building a future where humanity would be free of gods, free of superstition, free of blind fate. And yet, everything he constructed required belief in his inevitability. His vision could not tolerate divergence, not because it was weak, but because it was precise. A single deviation could collapse the entire design. And so, destiny became enforced. Prophecies emerged, not spontaneous, but guided. Oracles spoke truths carefully framed. Visions were interpreted through sanctioned lenses. The future was allowed to be seen only in ways that reinforced obedience. Those who glimpsed alternatives, true alternatives, were silenced. Some were labeled mad. Some were erased from record. Some simply vanished. The Imperium does not fear the future. It fears plurality. I have watched entire civilizations destroyed not because they rebelled, but because they evolved in unexpected directions. Cultures that valued introspection over conquest. Societies that questioned the necessity of eternal war. Worlds that imagined a destiny beyond endless survival. They were deemed incompatible. Destiny, after all, must remain uniform. An empire that permits divergent futures invites its own dissolution, the narrator murmurs. Even the Emperor is bound by destiny. The Golden Throne is not merely a prison of flesh, it is a monument to inevitability. He sits not because he chooses to, but because the design demands it. His suffering is not accidental. It is structural. The price of controlling fate is becoming trapped within it. Perhaps he foresaw this. Perhaps he accepted it. Or perhaps destiny, once set in motion, no longer listened even to its architect. There is a cruel symmetry here. The Emperor denied humanity freedom from destiny by claiming to guide it. In doing so, he surrendered his own. Now he endures, unchanging, sustaining a future he can no longer alter. The greatest prisoners are those who believe their captivity is necessary, the narrator observes. Throughout the Imperium, billions live and die convinced their lives matter because they fit the plan. And in a way, they are right. Meaning is easier to bear when it is assigned. Destiny relieves the burden of choice, the terror of uncertainty. But it also steals something immeasurable. The possibility of becoming something unforeseen. As this chapter draws to its end, the narrator gazes not forward, but inward. Destiny, it seems, is not written in stars or prophecy, but in fear, fear of chaos, fear of collapse, fear of a future that cannot be controlled. And the Emperor's hidden design becomes clearer. Not salvation. Not enlightenment. But stability. At any cost. The Imperium does not march toward tomorrow, the narrator concludes softly. It circles an ending it dares not reach, bound by a destiny it mistook for eternity. In the end, it was not fire, nor faith, nor war that defined the Imperium, but silence. I have listened to the universe long enough to know that silence is never empty. It is heavy. It is deliberate. And it is final. The Imperium is loud beyond measure, its wars unending, its prayers ceaseless, its machinery roaring across the stars. Yet at its heart lies a stillness so profound that it bends all sound around it. A silence seated upon a throne of gold, older than empires, deeper than belief. The Emperor does not speak. He has not spoken for 10,000 years. And in that absence, an entire civilization has learned to listen to echoes instead. Silence is where all designs end. Within the imperial palace, corridors stretch for miles, untouched by time, guarded by warriors who have never heard their master's voice. They kneel not to words, but to memory. To interpretation. To the idea of command. The Emperor's will is no longer issued, it is inferred, debated, weaponized. When authority falls silent, the narrator whispers, those who speak in its name become gods in their own right. The High Lords argue beneath the shadow of the throne, their voices sharp, urgent, afraid. Each claims to know what the Emperor wants. None can ask him. Silence has turned intention into speculation, and speculation into power. The Imperium calls this continuity. I call it entropy disguised as order. Beyond Terra, across the vastness of space, the silence spreads. Entire worlds have never known the Emperor as anything but a myth. To them, he is not a ruler, he is a background constant, like gravity or death. His absence is normalized. His silence unquestioned. Faith fills the void where speech once lived. Cathedrals echo with prayers never answered. Pilgrims scream devotion into the dark, mistaking endurance for response. Miracles are reported, debated, dissected, but always filtered through belief. The Emperor does not confirm them. He does not deny them either. Silence is the perfect canvas for projection. A god who does not speak can never contradict his followers, the narrator reflects. And so, the Imperium continues, self-propelled, self-justifying, devouring itself in the name of preservation. Wars are fought because they always have been. Knowledge is suppressed because it might destabilize what remains. Destiny is enforced because uncertainty terrifies those who rule. All of it justified by a voice that never arrives. I have wondered, often, whether the Emperor intended this. Perhaps silence was his final command. Perhaps he understood that words end, but absence endures. That a living ruler can be challenged, questioned, even killed, but a silent one becomes immutable, untouchable, eternal. Or perhaps, he simply failed. The Golden Throne is not glorious up close. It is a machine of agony, ancient and failing, sustained by sacrifice and denial. Psychers are fed into it daily, their lives extinguished not in defiance, but in obedience. Their screams are never heard by the one they sustain. Only the silence listens. The Emperor endures, but endures wrongly. Not as a guiding mind, but as a fixed point around which all fear orbits. He is no longer the architect of the future, he is its anchor, dragging it endlessly through the present. Stasis is not survival, the narrator murmurs. It is decay slowed to a ritual. And yet, the Imperium survives. Against reason. Against hope. Against itself. There is something terrible and beautiful in that. Humanity refuses to die, even when trapped in a design that offers no peace. Even when the stars themselves seem tired of watching. Even when silence stretches so long it feels like eternity. Perhaps that, too, was part of the design. Not enlightenment. Not victory. But endurance. I have seen civilizations that burned brightly and vanished. I have seen utopias collapse beneath their own perfection. The Imperium is neither wise nor kind, but it is stubborn. And in a universe that devours the weak, stubbornness has its own power. Still, silence has consequences. Without guidance, interpretation becomes doctrine. Without correction, error becomes law. Without voice, the Imperium no longer knows whether it serves the Emperor, or merely the shape he left behind. The forbidden truth is this. The Imperium does not protect humanity for the Emperor. It protects the Emperor from humanity. From change. From reinterpretation. From the possibility that his design was never meant to last forever. Perhaps the Emperor sleeps, dreaming of an end he can no longer reach. Perhaps he watches, trapped behind failing senses, horrified at what has grown in his absence. Or perhaps he is truly gone, and the throne sustains nothing but momentum. Silence does not answer these questions. It never will. As the narrator's voice fades, we drift away from Terra, past fleets, past battlefields, past dying stars, into the cold, endless void. The Imperium marches on, chanting prayers to a god who does not respond, fighting wars whose purpose has long since eroded. And yet, still marching. Empires do not end with explosions, the narrator concludes softly. They end when silence outlives meaning. The Emperor's design remains. Hidden. Unquestioned. Unfinished. And somewhere, in the vast darkness between stars, the universe listens, waiting to see whether humanity will one day break the silence. Or vanish within it.